I'm calling the police on you right now." That's what my HOA Karen shouted at my wife on the very day she moved in. She had her phone already dialing 911, saying things like suspicious military vehicle and possible stolen valor. Shh. Said it all with a big smile of pure happiness. In less than an hour, 2 police officers showed up at our door. Because this bossy lady from the neighborhood thought she could make the new people feel really embarrassed. But she had no idea who she was really accusing of being a fake. I saw her face change from a proud, happy look to total fear. My wife quietly pulled something from her wallet. What my wife took out made everything different from that moment on. Tell me in the comments. Where you're watching this from. After 2 whole years of being married, but living far apart, my wife Morgan was finally coming to live with me. I made sure our house was super clean and nice. The neighborhood was calm and quiet. I really thought this would be the best day ever, but I was mistaken. There was one thing I didn't think about. The lady who lived 3 houses away, her name was Victoria Palmer, and she was going to turn our happy dream into a bad dream. The noise of that military truck's engine rumbling along Pinewood Drive still makes me feel shivery. I was standing by the window, looking at my watch every 30 seconds like a kid in love who can't wait. The house was totally clean. I had spent 3 days cleaning every part until it shone bright. Fresh flowers sat on the dining table, and a banner saying "Welcome Home" was hanging proudly over our front porch. Everything needed to be just right for when Morgan got home. After 24 months of talking on video calls and quick visits on weekends, we were going to live together in the same house at last. I kept smiling big as I saw that large green truck turn the corner and stop in our driveway. Morgan got out of the truck like she was the boss of everything. She was 34 years old, and she walked with the kind of sureness that comes only from 8 years in the military. She was tall and strong, and she moved with a goal in mind. Every move she made was thought out and quick. When she gave me a hug, I felt like I could do anything. But I saw how her eyes kept looking around at everything. Even while she was smiling. It's old habits from when I was sent to other countries. She always explained. Her laugh was nice and warm as she pointed at the banner. But there was something watchful in how she stood that I had learned to notice. She was always looking out, always thinking about things. That's what made her such a great officer, and it would be really important in the days that came next. That's when trouble came like a storm. In the shape of a woman in her middle years wearing a pink bathrobe, the bang of Victoria Palmer's front door closing hard rang out across the quiet street like a loud shot from a gun. She walked out of her house, which was 3 doors away. With the strong steps of a leader taking soldiers to fight, her phone was already in her hand, and her eyes were fixed on our military truck like an animal seeing easy food. I had seen Victoria in the neighborhood before, always dressed just right, always holding a clipboard, always looking for something to grumble about. But I had never seen her walk with such strong focus. Walked fast toward us, her fingers moving quick on her phone screen, snapping pictures from different sides, like a reporter looking for a big story. Victoria's way of coming over was careful and showy. She put a message right away in the neighborhood group chat. And I could see her writing military invasion of our peaceful community. Her fingers worked with skill. She had practiced as she took notes on everything from many sides. Then she came in big and loud. With no softness like a big train, "Excuse me?" Victoria's voice cut through the calm afternoon air, like an old rough knife. "I'm Victoria Palmer, the officer who checks if everyone follows HOA rules in this community. That vehicle is breaking Section 3B of our community rules. No work trucks are allowed to park on home streets for more than 30 minutes. She didn't even say hello or nice to meet you. Just went straight to attacking. I tried to tell her, using a friendly and polite voice. "Ma'am, this is my wife Morgan. She's just bringing her stuff from the base where she lived." But Victoria stopped me quick, like a fast saw cutting wood. "I don't care who she says she is. Rules are rules. And one more thing, I've looked in our military lists. There's no note of any person on active duty living at this address." Morgan's way of reacting was interesting to see. While I was getting upset and trying to defend us, she stayed totally calm. Almost like she thought Victoria's show was. Funny, she didn't talk right away, just watched Victoria like a scientist looking at a cool bug. I could almost see the ideas turning in her mind, noting every little thing. Every way Victoria acted. Her quietness seemed to make Victoria more nervous than any fight would have. This neighborhood has standards. Victoria's voice got higher, making curious neighbors look out their windows.
Oh.
She was liking the people watching more and more. I've kept property values good here for 12 years. I won't let some pretend army wife and her weak husband ruin what I've made. The way she said fake army wife made me really angry. But Morgan just turned her head a little, like Victoria had said something just a bit interesting. Victoria was using all her tricks now, showing she was in charge with the sureness of someone who had done this many times. She called the HOA helpline right there in our driveway, talking loud so the whole street could hear. Emergency rule break happening now, military truck, possible fake situation. Yes, I'll take notes on everything for the official paper. Then came Victoria's show of power. Her list of big wins in the neighborhood. I've dealt with 6 other bad families in this community, she said with the pride of someone bad counting. People they hurt. The Johnsons left after 3 months of right rule following. The Garcias couldn't take the push to keep community rules. She listed her numbers like wins in a fight. 23 good rule breaks handled this year alone. I am the law in this neighborhood. Her voice had the full belief of someone who had never met real pushback. Every word was meant to show she was the boss, and that fighting back was no use. She had made her whole self, Brown being the not-official ruler of Pinewood. Dr. Hull's show was meant to show she was in control and owned the area. Victoria stood like a lawyer, giving the last words in court, pointing big at our house and truck. Neighbors were coming out of their homes now, pulled by the noise. Mrs. Henderson from 2 houses away looked worried. The old man from across the street shook his head like he didn't like it. But it wasn't clear if it was us or Victoria. Victoria was getting energy from the attention, her voice getting louder and more bossy with each new face that showed up. This was what she loved. Making people feel bad in public while pretending. It was to protect the community. Morgan finally talked. Her voice was strong like metal. Ma'am, you seem very careful. Tell me, do you know what real power looks like? The question stayed in the air like a dare. Said with the quiet sureness that comes from having true power, instead of just acting like it, Victoria laughed in a rude way, like someone who had never met real power. Honey, I've been handling bad people since before you were born.
This
Is my neighborhood, and these are my rules. Morgan's smile got a tiny bit bigger. ... And there was something like a hunter in it. I'm sure you have been handling bad people. Very interesting. Things were getting to a point where it couldn't go on when Victoria gave her biggest threat. She walked away fast toward her house, but not before turning around to yell loud enough for the whole street to hear. Tomorrow morning, I'm calling the police. We'll see how fake your military story is. Then her voice had the full belief of someone who thought she had all the good cards. As she went back, Morgan quietly got out her phone and took a picture of Victoria in the middle of her angry talk. Catching her red face and pointing finger in clear detail, when I asked why she was taking pictures, Morgan's answer was simple, but full of meaning. Evidence, sweetheart. Always collect evidence. The way she said it made me see that my wife, this woman who had led soldiers in fighting places, was already thinking 3 steps in front of Victoria Palmer. But what was Morgan planning to do with that photo? What do you think Morgan is hiding? Type your guess in the comments below. Victoria Palmer was someone who kept her promises. Got it exactly 6 a.m. the next morning. She was on the phone with 911. I know this because our bedroom window looks toward her house, and I could hear her walking back and forth on her front porch, talking loud enough to wake up half the neighborhood. I need to report suspicious people in our community, she said, with the seriousness of someone telling about spies from other countries. Military vehicle, possible stolen valor situation could be dangerous to our families. The way she said, Dangerous made it sound like we were running some kind of bad group from our garage. But Victoria wasn't happy with just calling emergency help. I watched through our window covers as she called many offices one by one. The tax office, .2, saying we might be skipping fees for vehicle sign-up. The fire department, saying our military stuff might be unsafe. Her way of getting people on her side was even better than her office attacks. Victoria went from door to door like someone running for office, ... But instead of asking for votes, she was making a group based on fear. For everyone's safety, we need to note this the right way, she told Mrs. Henderson from 2 houses away. They could be anyone. People who steal who you are, bad guys, who knows what kind of people we're dealing with. Her voice had that perfect mix of worry and being in charge that made neighbors agree without thinking. Military people often have PTSD, she whispered, like sharing a secret to the young couple with little kids. Could be dangerous to have them around families. You never know when they might lose control. She was spreading these stories with the speed of a machine that makes bad news, making people not trust us before we could even say hello the right way. But Victoria's sneakiest trick was how she made her scared thoughts sound normal. She'd go to neighbors with real worry in her voice, talking quietly about keeping the community safe and protecting how much houses are worth. Her reasons always followed the same way. Start with a real worry about neighborhood rules. Then slowly add doubt about certain people. But I'm not saying anything for sure, she'd whisper. But don't you think it's odd that they moved in so quietly? And that truck, who knows what they're carrying? She had a skill for putting ideas of doubt in people's minds while acting like she could deny it. But Victoria's best move was her online work. Within an hour of her police call, neighborhood apps and message places were full of more and more dramatic messages. Fake military family threatening our community, one title said, with pictures of our truck and house. Stolen valor investigation going on. Neighbors, said another. She was making us look like everything from tricksters to possible bad people who hurt others. All because we had the nerve to park a military vehicle in front of our own house. The speed and how she planned her attack were almost something to like. Almost. If it hadn't been aimed at my family. I might have liked how smart her plan was. Victoria Palmer had turned watching the neighborhood into a mind fight. And she was just starting. It's the sound of sirens coming toward. Pinewood Drive made my stomach feel like it was dropping. 2 police cars came around the corner with their lights flashing. But the sirens were thankfully not loud. Seemed like even the police knew this wasn't a big emergency. Radio talks crackled in the air as the cars stopped at our curb. Police Chief Martinez got out of the first car. He was a man in his 50s, who looked worn out, like he had seen every kind of silly thing people do in his job. Officer Thompson got out of the second car, younger and more excited, acting with the strict follow-the-rules way of someone still showing they can do the job. In just minutes, at least 15 neighbors appeared on the street. Pulled by the show like bugs to a light. Victoria stood out in front of them, clearly enjoying her part as the community speaker who had bravely called for help. Goodness, you're here. Victoria's acting was good enough for a big award. She pointed big toward our house like showing a place where something bad happened. These people have been making threats to our peaceful community. The woman says she's military but has no proof at all. The man is obviously scared to talk. Probably afraid of what she'll do if he says something. Her voice went perfectly across the group of people, making sure it hit hard. She had made herself look like the brave protector of quiet home life, standing against strange people who dared to bother the peace. Chief Martinez nodded in a work way, his face even but a little tired. Ma'am, we'll take care of this the right way. We need to check who people are and see if there are any real breaks of local rules. His way of talking suggested he had dealt with Victoria Palmer before, and not because he wanted to. My hands were shaking as I watched this crazy show from our living room window. This was crazy. We hadn't done anything bad. But somehow I felt like a bad guy waiting to be punished. Victoria stood there with the neighbors, the winning smile like she had already won. What if they took us away? What if this hurt Morgan's job in the military? What if our new neighbors thought we were really the ones causing trouble? The ideas went round and round in my head as I saw Morgan calmly putting on her shoes, not bothered at all by the police outside our door. My voice was breaking even though I tried to stay calm when we went outside. Officers, we've done nothing wrong. I was able to say that the truck was set to be picked up. My wife is real military. But Victoria stopped me before I could finish. He can't even prove it. Show them papers. Show them anything that proves you're not just acting like soldiers. Chief Martinez stepped up with polite work manners, but his ask made me feel cold inside. Ma'am, we're going to need to see ID from both of you. This was it, the moment Victoria had been leading up to. I searched clumsily for my wallet, but everyone was looking at Morgan. She moved with careful slowness, reaching for her back pocket calmly, like she had lots of time. The group of people held their breath. Even the birds seemed to stop making noise. Could hear the leather make a sound as she opened her wallet, the soft noise of papers being moved. Then she pulled out one card and held it up to catch the morning sun. The military ID shone like a light, the silver eagle almost glowing in the brightness. Colonel Morgan Swift, United States Army. The quiet that came after was so full, you could have heard a small pin fall on hard ground. Victoria's change was a beautiful show of feelings, stuck in time. In the first second, her sure smile was still on her face, all there. In the second, her eyes looked at the ID card, trying to understand what she saw. In the third second, the smile started to shake as she began to get it. In the fourth second, her mouth started to open slowly, like in slow motion. In the fifth second, the color left her face like someone pulled out a stopper. From the 6th to the 10th second, she was like a statue. She stood there like a store dummy, mouth open, eyes wide with surprise. I'd never seen someone really stop moving like that before. It was like seeing a computer stop working right then. The woman who had been so sure of her power, so certain she was right, had just found out she called the police on a colonel in the United States Army. Chief Martinez's reaction was quick and big. His whole way of standing changed as he saw the rank and papers. Colonel Swift, my true sorry, ma'am, if I had known we were dealing with military people of your level. Both officers stood straight with sharp military style, giving quick salutes that showed deep respect for Morgan's rank and work. The difference with Victoria's still frozen way was almost funny. Here were real police showing right respect to true power, while the lady who made herself neighborhood police boss stood still from her own wrong guess. Officer Thompson looked really embarrassed as he put down his salute. "Should we make a report about false emergency calls, Chief?" he asked softly. The meaning was clear. Victoria had used up important police time on a fake complaint. The group's reaction spread through the neighbors like a wave from a shock. "Wow, did you see that?" Someone whispered behind me. "Victoria just called the cops on a colonel," another voice said with a gasp. "Is she totally crazy?" Quiet. Talks got louder as the truth hit everyone. Victoria Palmer, the woman who had made herself the judge and decider of the neighborhood, just made herself look bad in front of everyone in the most amazing way. She tried to fix it, saying something unclear about fake ID and military people being able to trick others, but her voice didn't have its old strength. Chief Martinez stopped her complaints with firm work style. "Ma'am, this is real government ID. I really suggest you think again about your complaints." Officer Thompson's embarrassment was easy to see as he thought about what happened. Here he was, a young officer trying to make a good name, having come to what was basically a bother call made to look like a real one. The way both officers held themselves had changed a lot from careful power to respectful listening. Chief Martinez, clearly someone who had dealt with many neighborhood fights, seemed almost happy to have a case where the facts were so clear. His many years had taught him to see the difference between real worries and small, mean fights. And this was clearly the second kind. Morgan, at the same time, handled things with the nice way of someone who had dealt with much worse problems. "Officers, no harm done? Thank you." For 3 days after the police thing, Victoria Palmer's house stayed strangely quiet. No walking on the front porch. No phone calls loud enough to wake people up. No patrols with a clipboard in the neighborhood. The quiet should have felt good. ... But somehow it felt more scary than her old shows. I could see her shadow moving behind her closed curtains. ... Walking back and forth like an animal in a cage. Through our bedroom window, I watched her shape at her computer desk for hours. The light from her screen making weird shapes on her walls. She was planning something. When someone like Victoria Palmer gets quiet, it's not because they've stopped. It's because they're getting ready again. How dare they make me look bad? I could almost hear her thinking from 3 houses away. 20 years in this neighborhood. No one makes Victoria Palmer look silly and gets away. What I didn't know then was that Victoria was doing her own kind of gathering info like in the military. She'd spent those 3 days looking up everything from how to complain about military, things to questioning an officer's power to reporting bad behavior in the military. Her list of what she searched on the computer would have been interesting. And scary to see, she was looking for any way. Any weak spot, any rule loop she could use. Fine. She must have decided sometime during that 3rd day of planning ... If she wants to use the military thing, I'll show her what real power is. I still have friends. I still have pull. And I'm about to use both on these troublemakers. The woman who had made her whole life about controlling others wasn't going to let one loss ruin her carefully made world. What made Victoria's fight back so bad was how she did it step by step. She didn't just send random rule breaks at us. She'd clearly watched our daily ways, our times, ... our habits. She knew just when we left for work, ... when we came back, and when people came to see us. Every ticket was timed just right to cause the most trouble. The morning tickets would come just as I was hurrying to go to important meetings. The evening tickets would be waiting when Morgan came back from her runs.
Ow, still sweaty and tired.
With the exactness of a military plan, except her fight was against normal people who hadn't done anything. The fight back started on day 4. It was amazing in how big and mean it was. I came home from work to find 4 official notices of rule breaks taped to our front door like a paper war start. Too much noise complaint at 6:15 a.m.? Trouble? Noted by many people, said the first one. It's talking about Morgan's morning exercise. Vehicle place break. Personal car sticks out 2.3 inches past the OK property line, said the second. Aiming at my car that I'd parked the same way for months? With no problem? Not allowed sign show? Welcome home banner put up with outright HOA OK, said the third. Attacking the decoration I'd put up with so much happiness just days before. Yard care not following rules. Bush height goes over 42 inches max by about 1 inch. The fourth. Aiming at bushes that had been cut by pros just 2 weeks ago. But Victoria was just beginning. Day 5 brought 6 more rule breaks, each sillier than the last. Trash bin place error. Bins put out 14 hours before OK pickup time. It seemed putting out garbage the night before was now bad. Outside light break. Porch light brightness goes over community rules. Our normal 40W bulb was suddenly too bright. Paint color difference. Front door color not okayed by the building group. The blue door that was there when we bought the house was now a problem from the past. Package sending trouble. Amazon truck blocked neighbors' view of the street for a short time because it seemed we were in charge of where delivery trucks park. Pet noise complaint. It's too much barking, bothering community quiet. We didn't even have a pet. Suspicious group. Break. More than 3 people seen on the property at the same time. The pizza guy, Morgan, and I had made an against rules group. Each break had an $85 fine. Victoria had made 10 of them in just 2 days. $854 made-up breaks. The money push was clearly meant to make us follow by using money as a fight. But the money attacks were just the start of Victoria's smart bother plan. She started following Morgan on her morning runs, taking notes on every step with her phone camera, like a picture taker for exercise. She put her car to block our driveway, way out, making me ask her to move every time I needed to go to work.
Fuck her dog.
A small noisy one that had never cared about our yard before was suddenly walked only on our grass, where it was told to do its business without picking up. At exactly 11 p.m. each night, loud music would start playing from Victoria's house, stopping right at 10:59, just 1 minute before the noise rule started. The mind fight grew beyond simple rule breaks into something like following someone too much. Victoria would stand in her yard for hours looking at our house with the strong stare of someone watching like a spy. She took bright flash pictures through our windows at night, saying she was noting odd actions to anyone who asked. Notes that were mean but not direct started showing up on our car window. Some people think rules don't apply to them in community. Rules are there for a reason, and real neighbors care about house values. She made a group message for worried neighbors that had everyone on the street but us, spreading stories and making feelings against the troublemakers who had brought bad attention to their quiet community. Victoria's story spreading was especially sneaky. She'd already put ideas about PTSD and dangerous military ways, and now she was adding to them with daily made-up proof. The mind effect of her plan was carefully thought out. Victoria knew that steady small bothers could work better than big fights. Each break notice was made to cause worry, not knowing. And money stress? She'd send them at odd times. Sometimes 3 in one day, then nothing for 2 days, then a surprise ticket on the weekend. Not predictable way kept us always nervous, never knowing when the next one would come. It was mind pain hidden as doing her community job. And Victoria did it with the careful exactness of someone who had gotten good at making people's lives hard while looking like it was okay. Steady push was hard on both of us. But mostly on me. I wasn't sleeping. Not jumping at every noise. Checking our locks all the time like we were under attack. The money worry was making me feel awful. $850 had built up already, and if Victoria kept going like this, we'd owe thousands in weeks. Morgan, I said one evening, looking at the newest group of break notices. Maybe we should just do what they say, pay the fines, and stay quiet. Maybe if we show we're okay with their rules, she'll stop bothering us. But even as I said it, I knew it sounded like giving up, It's like letting the mean person win. Morgan looked at me with a mix of being let down and getting it. You can choose to live scared, Ryan, she said softly. But I spent 8 years in other countries protecting our freedoms. I'm not going to give them up to a bossy person in the suburbs that night. As I stayed awake hearing Victoria's timed music attack, I saw I was turning into just what she wanted, broken. Doing what she said, beaten. I felt like someone locked in my own home, scared to go out, scared to make sound, scared to live normal in the place we'd worked hard to get. Maybe. She's right, I whispered to Morgan in the dark. Maybe we don't fit here. Maybe we should just move to another place. Start new. Find somewhere we can live without trouble.
Ow, the words felt bad in my mouth.
But the non-stop stress was too much. Victoria Palmer had turned our dream house into a fight area, and I was holding up the sign to give up. But Morgan sat up in bed. Her military ways clear even in how she sat. Ryan, I've faced bad guys who used real weapons instead of HOA papers. I've led soldiers under real shooting and fight places. I'm not giving up to a neighborhood mean person who thinks a clipboard makes her a leader. The next morning, I watched Morgan open her laptop and make a new folder on her screen. The name made me smile for the first time in days. Operation Neighborhood. Peace. She started taking pictures of everything. Victoria's car parked wrong near fire things. Her dog running without a leash against city rules. Her own breaks of the noise rules she was using on us. Rule number 1 of fighting, Morgan told me, as she noted Victoria's two-faced ways with military. Exactness. Know your enemy better than they know themselves. And Victoria Palmer is about to learn what real planning looks like. But what was Morgan's real plan? What do you think Morgan found out about Victoria? Put your ideas below. Victoria Palmer got to the community center 30 minutes before the emergency HOA meeting was set to start. Coming in with the sureness of a leader who had already won the fight, now she sat up in the front row with a bag full of what she called proof, saying hello to each board person by name with the closeness of someone who had been controlling them for years. Linda, Tom, Patricia, she said nicely. Thank you for making this emergency meeting happen fast. I know how busy everyone is, but the situation has become totally not okay for our community. Her way of talking was calm. It's like work, ... fair. The voice of a worried person who had to do hard things for the good of all. She'd clearly spent hours getting ready for this, probably practicing her talk in front of a mirror until every move and sound was perfect. What we're facing here, Victoria started as more neighbors came into the community center. It's a clear case of ongoing scaring by people who think being in the military gives them special rights above community rules. It doesn't. She opened her bag with showy XACTNs, showing carefully put-together folders, printed pictures, papers that looked official. The woman had made bothering into something like art, ... with things to look at. Her proof was big in what it covered. Pictures of our military truck made to look scary. Notes, with times of noise complaints that made Morgan's morning exercises look like on-purpose bothers. And statements from neighbors saying they felt scared by us being there. Each paper was made to look like work. Each complaint was worded carefully to sound fair and calm instead of mean. The community center felt full of tight feelings as more people came in. I knew faces from the neighborhood. People I'd waved to, but never really met because of Victoria's way of keeping us apart. The old neighbors of the Johnson family looked not comfortable, probably thinking of their own times with Victoria's rule pushing. An old couple from the end of the street kept looking nervous between Victoria and us, clearly not sure what to think. The air was heavy with the kind of waiting that comes before either being proven right or a big fail. Victoria enjoyed the attention, sometimes nodding to people who agreed or fixing her carefully, set-proof show. Victoria's talk was a great lesson in controlling, disguised as doing community good. She talked with the power of someone who had been guarding the community for years, her voice having just the right mix of sorry and strong will. I've given 12 years of my life to this neighborhood, she said, with the feeling of someone suffering for others, kept house values safe, kept community rules, and kept our families protected from just this kind of trouble. Now I'm being aimed at, bothered and threatened for doing my job, for standing for the ideas that make Pinewood Drive the best home area it is today. Her voice broke a little on the word threatened. A good touch that showed real fear instead of mean anger. Woman could have been in government. 25 neighbors had come to the meeting, the biggest HOA get-together in years. And Victoria had all their attention. The feeling control got to its highest as Victoria built to her big end. She pointed to her carefully made proof packs, ... each break noted carefully with pictures and times. These people have shown total not caring for our community rules, she went on, ... her voice getting stronger. They've used scaring ways. They've broken many HOA rules and they've made a feeling of fear among people who follow the law. She stopped for effect, looking around the room to make sure it hit big. I ask for quick making of all open breaks and serious thinking of ending. Lease ways for keeping, not following community rules. The words stayed in the air like a bad judgment.
How?
She wasn't just asking for fines or warnings. She wanted us out, kicked from the neighborhood like some home ban. Morgan and I went quietly into the back of the room, just as Victoria finished her starting attack. Several board people were nodding like they agreed, clearly liking Victoria's work-like talk and seeming proof. She'd made it look like she was. The one hurt, and us the bad ones. Even though she was the one who had called police on an honored military officer for just moving into her own home. When the board asked if we'd like to answer the claims, Morgan stood up with the calm power of someone who had talked to leaders and important people. May I show some facts to fight these claims? She asked nicely. The room got quiet as she walked to the front, carrying nothing but a simple brown folder. The difference with Victoria's showy bag and big papers was big. Real stuff against show. Mrs. Palmer has made serious claims about our ways, and if we follow community rules, Morgan started, her voice clear and steady. I believe in facts, not feelings, in proof, not hints, so let me share some noted facts. With this group, what happened next was like seeing an exact hit destroy a weak card house. Morgan opened her folder and started taking apart Victoria's case with the careful speed of a military talk. Proof pack 1, she said, hooking her laptop to the room show system. Video notes of real rule breaks. The first video showed Victoria easy to know putting her house trash into our bin at 5:47 a.m. The time mark was clear. The picture perfect. Sounds of surprise went through the people as they watched their self-made rule keeper breaking the very rules she said she protected. The taking down went on with no stopping. Proof pack 2, Morgan went on, going to the next picture. Fake. Notes and changing witness words. She showed proof that Victoria's many witness words came from just 2 people, both close friends who lived on Victoria's street and had never really seen the said things. She showed pictures of Victoria's own housebreaks, her car parked blocking walkway, her garden going over the same height rules she'd used on us, her not allowed yard things that broke the sign rules she'd used, like a weapon on our welcome banner. This noise complaint was sent at 6:15 a.m. for exercise sounds, Morgan said, showing the paper. But safety video from the base shows I was already at work. Mrs. Palmer sent a false report. Proof pack 3. Morgan kept going without pause, ongoing bothering and following ways. Phone records showed Victoria had called Morgan's work 6 times in 2 weeks. 47 pictures were taken of our property from open areas. Notes of Victoria following Morgan on morning runs. Noted through many neighbors' safety camera videos. The way the room felt changed like big ground moving. Quiet talk started in the back rows and spread forward like waves in water. I didn't know she was taking pictures. 47 photos. That's basically. Following too much. No wonder the Johnson family left. Bored people started asking sharp questions that Victoria clearly hadn't gotten ready for. The change in the room's energy was easy to feel as neighbors started to think about what they saw. Whispered conversations started in the back rows, spreading forward like fast fire. I had no idea she was taking pictures of my house too, someone said softly behind me. Remember when she sent that complaint about my fence? Thought it was real, said another voice. The understanding was coming to the whole community that they'd been living under watching, that their self-made protector had been noting their every move. Faces that had shown starting agreement with Victoria now showed not liking and feeling. Tricked. The neighborhood boss's control was falling apart right then. Mrs. Palmer, can you explain why your complaints get done in 24 hours while other people wait 2 to 3 weeks? Proof pack 4, Morgan finished, giving the last hit. Money controlling and choosing who to push. She showed a full chart comparing 18 breaks given to our house in 14 days against 3 breaks for the whole rest of the neighborhood in the same time. Times 4 handling that showed Victoria's complaints got fast treatment, not for others. Phone. Notes show Victoria had called different city offices 47 times in 2 weeks trying to use city help against normal people. Mrs. Palmer, Morgan said, looking straight at Victoria for the first time. You've said we think we get special treatment because of military work, but your own noted ways suggest you think you get special treatment because of your HOA friends. Victoria's need to fix it was nice to see. She stood up fast, her work face breaking like cheap color. This is attacking my ways, she yelled, her voice going high like it had scared the neighborhood for years. They're using military scaring ways. Can't trust what they say. They've changed proof. They've scared people who saw things. They've turned our quiet community into a fight place. She even tried to run to the show machine as if breaking the proof would make the truth go away. I stepped forward to stop her and she swung wild in my way before being held back by two bored people. "Ma'am," I said softly, "I think everyone can see who's really making the trouble here." The board's 10-minute talk felt like 10 hours. But when they came back, their choice was fast and full. All breaks against Morgan and me were thrown out as silly and without proof. Victoria was fined $500 for using the community complaint. Way too much in a bad way. She got an official warning about bothering ways that would stay in her forever HOA file. Most important, board said, a new rule needing proof from not related people for all future complaints. Basically, the Victoria Palmer rule, though they were too nice to call it that for real. Victoria left fast before the meeting ended, yelling about appeals and court fights and rights from the big law that she clearly didn't get. But as she got to the parking area, I heard her on the phone with someone, her voice coming clear in the evening air. "Yes, I need to complain about HOA bad ways and board controlling." "What? You need my address for the follow-up looking into? It's 1247 Pinewood Drive?" Her voice had lost its old power and had a sound of being nervous that hadn't been there before. Who was she really calling? And why did she suddenly sound so not sure? Do you think Victoria's plan will turn against her? Comment on what you think happens next. 2 weeks after the HOA meeting, life had become something like normal. Victoria Palmer had basically disappeared from seeing. No more porch walking. No more clipboard walks. No more big fights in the street. Her house stayed closed up. Curtains pulled tight against the world that had said no to her power. I was finally sleeping all night. Morgan was enjoying her morning runs without someone taking pictures of every step. Maybe she finally learned her lesson. I said with hope one evening as we cooked burgers on our back deck. Maybe she saw she went too far and chose to stop. But Morgan knew better. People like Victoria Palmer don't just stop and go away. They get ready again. They change. And they find new ways to attack. Her military time had taught her that the most dangerous bad person is the one who learned from their mistakes. Saturday morning brought proof of Morgan's thoughts in the form of a big moving truck coming down Pinewood Drive. It stopped right in front of 1245 Pinewood Drive, the house right next to Victoria's place of anger. Morgan and I watched from our kitchen window as a young woman got out from the truck's side seat, stretching and looking around with the easy sureness of someone starting a new part of life. She looked to be in her early 30s, strong and full of energy, with a kind of real smile that makes you want to say hi. She waved at everyone she saw, right away showing she was the friendly new neighbor. Victoria for sure was not. "Sophie Martinez," she said when she knocked on our door that afternoon. "Just moved in next door." "Well, next door to that house there?" She pointed toward Victoria's place with no big care. Our talk with Sophie was nice and normal after weeks of drama from Victoria. "Heard there was some excitement lately?" she asked with easy wondering, like someone who had heard the neighborhood talk. Something about someone sending lots of complaints. Morgan and I looked at each other, not sure how much to tell the new neighbor. "Just some mix-ups with a community person," I said nicely. Sophie nodded like she got it. "Oh, I hate those types. You know, people like Karen who think they run everything and make everyone else's life bad because they're bored with their own." Her easy use of that word made us both laugh. Finally, someone who knew just what we'd been facing. Through Victoria's front window, I could see curtains moving as our neighborhood watcher looked at her new target. Victoria's comeback plan started exactly 1 week after Sophie came, using the same way she'd used on us. She went to Sophie with fake niceness, saying she was the community rules checker and offering to go over some important rules for new people. When the nice way didn't make her the boss, Victoria changed to her usual break plan. "Flower area sticks out 6 inches past OK property line," said Sophie's first ticket. "Vehicle parked 17 hours straight in the same spot makes it look left behind," said the second. "Music heard from next property during quiet times," said the third. Talking about Sophie's way of humming while working in the garden, Victoria was using her old tricks again, sure that the same ways that had scared other neighbors would work once more. But Sophie's ways of reacting were totally different from anything Victoria had seen before. Instead of getting mad or scared, Sophie seemed really funny about each growing break notice. She took careful notes, took pictures of everything, and kept that same friendly smile even when she caught Victoria watching pictures of her daily doings. When Victoria let her dog do its business on Sophie's grass and left without cleaning, Sophie just noted the thing and cleaned it herself, waving happily at Victoria's window after. When Victoria complained to the HOA about Sophie's odd late-night doings, she worked night times at the hospital. Sophie gave her work times, and boss's contact with work speed? It was like seeing someone play a smart game against someone still learning a simple one. What hit me most about Sophie's way was her total no fear. Other neighbors had gotten small under Victoria's attacks, moving away or just putting up with the bothers quietly. But Sophie treated each break notice like a fun puzzle to fix instead of something to fear. She'd take pictures of the tickets, with the same calm way Morgan used when noting proof. When Victoria stood in her yard watching pictures, Sophie would wave happy and sometimes even pose, totally breaking the scare part. It was mind fight turned around. Instead of being the one hunting, Victoria had suddenly become the one hunted. The big show came on a calm Sunday afternoon as Sophie was watering her garden and Victoria was at her usual watching spot behind her living room curtains. Sophie's phone rang and she answered on loudspeaker. Seeming not to know her voice, would go clear across the quiet neighborhood. "Dad," she said happily, and I stopped my own yard work to listen. What followed was a talk that would have been totally normal. Except for who Sophie's dad turned out to be. "How's the new place treating you?" asked a voice I knew. "Great, very learnin'," Sophie answered with a small smile in her voice. "Any issues with the neighbor we talked about?" The voice was for sure one I knew, but I couldn't place it right away. "Oh yes, Victoria Palmer at 1247 Pinewood Drive, just like you said. She's been very busy with her notes and complaints. Note everything for the official file," the voice went on. And now I was sure I knew the voice. "I want a full report on her action patterns." "Already doing it, Dad," Sophie said with work speed. Pictures, times, and break notices she sent. "The bother pattern is like from a book. I work in community watching. Your teaching really helped." There was pride in the older man's voice as he answered, ... "Good job. Your mom and I are proud of you for taking this job seriously." Then came the words that made Victoria's teacup slip from her hands and crash to her floor. "Thanks, Chief Martinez." It's the same Chief Martinez who had come to Victoria's fake 911 call. The same Chief Martinez who had told his officer to watch Palmer. Sophie wasn't just a random new neighbor. She was a carefully put watching system. Victoria's reaction was clear even from our yard. It's through her window. I could see her face go from its usual pink to bright white in seconds. Her legs seemed to not work as she held onto the window frame. The full meaning of her spot hitting her like a big wave. She wasn't just facing an annoying neighbor anymore. She was under real watching by the daughter of the police chief she'd bothered with fake reports. Every complaint she sent, every break notice she made, every act of small bossing would now be noted and told right to the police. Sophie had seen Victoria watching and gave a happy wave toward the window, her smile now having a clearly work look. "Nice day, isn't it, Mrs. Palmer?" she called out. Perfect weather for community watching. "Tell Mom I'll be home for dinner Tuesday." Sophie finished her call. "Love you, Dad," as she hung up. She looked straight at Victoria's window with that same friendly smile. But now there was something clearly official about it. The funny part was totally great. Victoria Palmer, who had made her life about watching and reporting on others, was now being watched and reported on by someone with real power to do something about the info. The woman who had used police as a weapon against innocent neighbors for years was now living next to a police chief's daughter, whose job was clearly keeping her under watch. The last part happened just as it should have. It's the next weekend. Our whole street got together for a quick cookout, the first real community get-together in years. Everyone was asked and everyone came, except for one house that was missing. Kids played in the street while grown-ups shared food and stories, finally free to enjoy their neighborhood without fear of tickets or bothers. Sophie quickly became the center of the fun. setting up games and saying hi to neighbors who'd been scared to talk during Victoria's time of control. I put up a new sign by our front garden. Pinewood Drive Peaceful Community started 2024. Through her closed curtains, Victoria Palmer watched the happy time of everything she'd tried to break. Knowing that her every move was being watched by the very power she tried to use against others. But as I looked toward the street, I noticed another moving truck. Pulling up to the house on Victoria's other side? Who could be moving in now? What do you think happened to Victoria? Was this fair or too hard? Tell me in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more crazy neighbor stories.